We docked at an unmarked island in the Stockholm Archipelago. What we found still haunts me. We stepped ashore on the southern port of the island. There was an old sign nailed to a wooden beam. "Welcome to Farelk Island," it said. Our original plan had been to take a few days off at a writer's retreat on Arholma Island in the northern parts of the Stockholm Archipelago. But our taxi boat, the only one willing to defy the ice floes still resting on the dark water, had gotten lost in an unexpected fog and instead delivered us to this island. Not even our captain, who claimed to know every little islet on the chart, seemed to know where we had ended up. He did reek of alcohol, though, so at this point I just assumed he didn't know what he was talking about. Tom began walking through the snow with resolute steps. "Let's look around," he said. "It might take hours until the fog dissipates. We should try and get the most out of this little mishap. It might serve as inspiration for our next stories." Felix, who didn't seem as happy about the situation, tried to get a signal by holding his phone up to the sky. "I'm not sure it works that way," I said, and checked my own phone. "I don't have any signal either. Are we really that far away from the nearest cell phone tower?" "I've never seen so much snow in my entire life," Mindy said as she held onto Felix's arm. "It's even more beautiful than I imagined." In an instant, hundreds of crows escaped the trees in front of us. They cawed as they flew over our heads. Jurgen, still standing next to his boat, looked at them with concern in his eyes. Next, a loud sound coming from deep inside the island reached us. It sounded like someone was banging huge sheets of metal against each other. It was repeated a few times with regular intervals until it quieted down again. "What was that?" Felix asked. I repeated the question to Jurgen, but in Swedish. "No idea," he said, itching his beard. "I don't like this place. This island shouldn't be here. Surely I would have heard about it. You know what I think?" "What?" I asked. "It's owned by the Navy and consciously kept of the charts. This must be where they have their secret base. I've heard about it. They're trying out secret weapons. Maybe something biological. Anything to keep the Russians away. We should probably get out of here as soon as possible. They might not let us leave if they catch us." Jurgen was clearly a man of tall tales, but the way he spoke, the genuine fear in his voice, still made the hair stand up in my neck. "The mystery thickens," Tom said after I translated the story. "And we just stepped ashore. I can't wait to see what more this island has in store for us." "For? Sounds like a cock and bull story to me," Felix said and smiled confidently. "You guys have spent too much time on no sleep. It's starting to get to you." Tom said. "Where's your spirit of adventure?" "Yeah," Mindy said with a grin on her face. "You need to keep an open mind." "I'll tell you this," Felix said. "Right about now, I'm incredibly open to finding somewhere to get warm. I might never have seen this much snow before, seeing that I'm from Australia and all, but I have never felt this cold either." "I'm staying at the boat," Jurgen said. "If you aren't back before sunset, I'm leaving." All of us felt confident we wouldn't be gone that long, and walked up what looked to have been a road before it was covered in a thick layer of snow. After walking for about 10 minutes, we were greeted by yet another sign. This one said, "Clara's Garden." A few meters further ahead, a couple of typical Swedish cottages appeared. They were painted in a bright crimson red with white trimmings on the windows. As expected, there was a garden at the center of the cottages. It was frozen in place, just as if was made purely out of ice crystals. The lights were on inside the main building, and there were fresh footprints all over the place. The unease I had felt after listening to Jurgen vanished as soon as I learned that there were people living here. It comforted me that we weren't all alone here, and that there was somewhere we could warm ourselves while we waited. "What are those?" Felix asked and pointed to a couple of vehicles parked outside. "Snowmobiles," I said. "They're common in Sweden during winter. I would be surprised if the island is big enough for cars, so this might be their only mode of transportation if they want to get somewhere fast." Tom stepped forward. "Let's get inside and say hello," he said. I'm eager to hear what they have to say about this place. Inside, the walls were painted white, but over time they had turned a bit gray, and there was a couple of bells on a red string that rang as we opened the doors. A few tables were placed haphazardly in front of a reception, not unlike a cafe, and the dry air smelled of a mixture of tar and wood. There was a couple of teenagers sitting at one of the tables. They looked at us like they hadn't seen an outsider in years. They were all dressed in what looked like vintage clothes from the 80s. I didn't pay much attention to it. It wasn't unusual for islanders this far out in the archipelago to be a bit behind on things. We heard steps coming down a stairwell behind the reception. A middle-aged woman soon appeared. She smiled at us as she positioned herself behind the desk. I told her how we ended up on the island and asked her if it was okay for us to wait here until the fog dissipated. "That fog won't go away until at least tomorrow," the woman said. "You're welcome to use our cottages for free if it's just for the night. We only rent them out during summer, so it shouldn't be a problem. She smiled, but there won't be any room service. I turned to my friends and told them what was up. They were surprisingly happy to hear it. Even Felix brightened up a little bit, and we agreed to the woman's offer. She gave us 2 keys, one for me and Tom and one for Felix and his girlfriend. Can you tell me something about this island? I asked the woman. What does Farouk mean, for example? I haven't heard that word before. Oh, no one knows, she said. It's simply what it says on the runestone on Little Island. That's what we call the smaller island in the lake further up. Clara was my great-grandmother. Back when she was still alive, she used to tell me so many stories about her childhood on this island. Not all of them were meant for little kids. Of course, she said with a quirky smile. Those were the ones I loved the most. What's your name? I asked. Clara. Just not that Clara. 8. I would love to hear some of those stories, Clara, I said, and added, someone should tell the guy with the boat, Jurgen, that we'll spend the night here. He's waiting for us at the port. He didn't want to come with us. Aye. No worries, Clara said. Balky will go down there and tell him. The bells rang. A tall man with a gray complexion and a rather dull countenance stepped inside together with a little girl. Contrary to the man, the girl was full of life. She ran inside, jumping up and down just as if her heavy winter clothes didn't weight her down the slightest. Maria, Clara said, have you been throwing snowballs at Oki again? The tall man, seemingly absent-minded, turned toward the woman. I need to go back out there, he said. There's something. I saw something. Tom introduced himself to the man, startled him, and while they spoke, seemingly without issues, I turned to the woman and took the keys from the desk. I noticed a newspaper behind Clara. Olof Palme was on the cover. Prime Minister of Sweden from 1969 to 1976 and 1982 to 1986. I pointed at it and said, that must be really old, I said. I was just 1 year old the day he was murdered. Clara looked surprised, almost shocked. What a strange thing to say, she said. That's no joking matter. I told her I was sorry. Some people loved Palm, some hated him. I should have known better than to comment on it, I thought. Even this long after his assassination. I gave Felix his key, and he left for the cottage with his girlfriend. What did that man say? I asked after Tom had finished talking to him. Dude, Tom said. He was super weird. He insisted that he had met me earlier. I have no idea what he was talking about. He's apparently been trying to find what's making that sound we heard. And he said he saw me coming out of the woods. Oof. That's crazy, I said. Maybe his English wasn't that good? Perhaps he... Nah, I think that's exactly what he meant, Tom said. Creeped me out. Nah. The inside of the cottage seemed to have been newly renovated, but it still looked like it belonged in the past. The IKEA furniture had a pristine quality, but it was all older models. After picking our beds and putting our bags next to them, I tried to text Felix to see how he was doing, and if he and his girlfriend would like to watch a movie with us later. But there was still no reception. I turned on the TV, half expecting it not to work since it looked so old. And at the same time, Tom came out of the bathroom, seemingly upset. There's black mold in there, he said. It's coming out of the tap like it's growing inside the pipes. I don't think we should drink any of the water. It's disgusting. Have you been able to get a signal? I asked. It's strange that there's no coverage here. I've been pretty far out in the archipelago before, and I've never had any issues with getting a signal. I haven't checked, he said. But seriously, that mold, though. He put on his jacket again. I'm going to ask someone to come take a look. Oh, okay, I said. You sure it can't wait until tomorrow? I mean, it's just... No way, man. How are we supposed to brush our teeth? I nodded and directed my eyes to the TV. It only showed stuff from the 80s. At this point, a feeling of unease came over me. It started to dawn on me that something was off about this place, but I didn't dare to guess what exactly that something might be. After the sun had set, I got up from the sofa and looked out the front door to try and get a hold of Tom. I had assumed he had stayed at the main building to talk to Clara. It was typical of him to be overly social with strangers. But when I looked outside, I saw that all the lights were off inside the main building. Tom, I yelled. You there? No response. He was nowhere to be seen. I put on my shoes, ready to go looking for him, when Felix came out of the forest behind his cottage in what looked like a state of panic. Hey, he said. Have you seen Mindy? No, I said. Where have you been? No time to explain. He was tearing up. I have to find her. He ran toward the snowmobiles. Hey, I said. What's going on? Have you seen Tom? It was all so confusing. Felix started the engine and zigzagged his way into the forest with the headlights blaring in front of him. Clara came outside the main building, wondering what was going on. I ran up to her. She demanded to know who took the snowmobile. I told her something had happened to Felix's girlfriend and that he had gone looking for her. I then proceeded to ask her if she had seen Tom, but she didn't seem to remember him. "It's too cold to go into the forest alone at this hour. Don't you know anything?" she said. "I'll call Ulf. Just wait here. He and the twins know their way around the island." Ulf arrived on his own snowmobile together with his two friends, one girl that sat behind him and another girl on her own vehicle. It was the teenagers we had seen inside earlier. I told them what had happened and that all my friends had suddenly gone missing. "It's not like them to act like this," I said. "I have no idea what's going on and I got no signal on my phone." "Do you have a phone that works?" I asked. "My phone works fine," Ulf said. "But my house is on the other side of the—" "I mean your cell phone," I interrupted. "Do you have a working cell phone?" They all looked at me as if I were insane. "My God," I exclaimed. "What year is this? You don't have cell phones?" I showed them my phone. "Look, no signal." They looked at the display as if they were witnessing a miracle. "Wow," the girl behind Ulf said. "That's amazing. What kind of device is that?" I put it back into my pocket. "You gotta be joking with me," I said. "Are you all role-playing the 80s here?" "Look," Ulf said. "I don't know what you're talking about, but we should probably try and find your friends instead of arguing. The island isn't that big, so we should be able to find them pretty quickly. You can sit behind Emma." I sat down behind her. "Felix went that way," I said, and pointed at his tracks. I still don't know where Tom went. We drove up the hill following Felix's tracks. I held on to the sides of my seat, avoiding grabbing Emma, and almost fell off in the process. A bit further into the forest, we saw a figure to the right and stopped. As it came closer, I saw that it was Tom. "Where the fuck have you been?" I yelled. He looked at me with tired eyes. "I tried to find you," he said. "I've been looking for so long. It must have been more than a month. Where did you all go?" "What the hell are you talking about?" I asked. "A month? We're looking for Felix. He went searching for his girlfriend. No idea what that was all about, but we're following his tracks now. These kids are helping. You go back to the cottage and get warm, okay? You'll catch pneumonia if you stay outside any longer." "You must be freezing." "Oh, okay," he said, too tired to talk. "Just don't go inside the old lodge, and whatever you do, stay away from the abandoned port west of the island." "Ah, you went all the way to the other side of the island?" I asked. "Man, you have a lot of explaining to do when I come back. Just follow our tracks back to the cottages, okay?" He nodded and slowly walked away from us. "He'll be all right," I said. "Now let's go find Felix." They started up the snowmobiles again and drove up the hill. Felix's tracks continued up a hillside, and at the top they took a sharp left. A few meters ahead, the tracks were cut off. We stopped. I looked at the edge of the tracks, dumbfounded. It was just as if he, together with the entire vehicle, had vanished into thin air. "Felix!" I yelled. "Felix!" "Linnea," Ulf said to the girl who had sat behind him. "I think you and your sister should go back home and—" "Hell no," she said. "Don't try and send us home like we're some kids. We're going to help. This must have something to do with the deer we found last week. I'm convinced it's all connected somehow." The deer? Those sounds. What deer?" I asked. "Someone better start telling me what's going on here." "We found a deer," Ulf said. "It was cut in half, chopped up like a dog's dinner." "What? Chopped up?" I said. "You mean like—" "It was cut like a loaf of bread," Emma said, "and the front of it was missing. The snow around it was covered in blood, but just like these tracks, it was cut off." "For crying out loud," I said. "Are you suggesting my friend has been turned into freaking salami and kidnapped by aliens? Stop making up stories. Animals get eaten in the wild all the time." "Then how do you explain this, Linnea said. "Where's the scooter? Did he fly away with it? This isn't natural. And you don't know about all the weird shit that's been going on here lately. It's not just that deer. It's that sound as well." The snow must have fallen off the trees," I speculated, "covering up the tracks. Let's drive a bit further up. I'm sure we'll find him there." We blindly continued forward for maybe 15 minutes, after which the snowmobiles got stuck. The snow beneath us was gone, revealing the wet moss and bedrock underneath. It was as if the entire area in front of us had been warmed up from the underneath. "This can't be," I said. "What can have done this?" "We told you," Ulf said. "Something strange is happening on this island." Was. I didn't want to admit it, didn't dare to think about what all of this meant. But there was no denying it anymore. Something unearthly was truly going on here. The moon shone down on us from behind the trees, just as if it had sneaked up on us and exposed our frightened faces. After some hesitation, we continued forward on foot. It was noticeably warmer within the snowless zone, and the air was a bit more humid. "What's this?" Linnea said, and pointed at a substance climbing up the bark of one of the trees. It looks like some kind of slime. Black mold, I said. Tom complained about something similar back at the cabin. Emma removed some of the moss on the ground with her feet. The mold spread out beneath it like a slimy web. Let's follow it, Ulf said. Maybe it will lead us to its source. Once we began looking for it, we saw the mold everywhere. It had infested the entire forest. Here and there, we spotted animals that had gotten trapped by it. Most of them were dead, slowly being consumed by the black slime, but a rabbit was still kicking its hind legs in a futile attempt to escape. We inspected it, unsuccessfully trying to figure out what the mold was doing to it, and then Ulf stomped it to death out of mercy. At the same moment, his boot crushed the skull of the small animal. A multitude of screams erupted and echoed through the dark forest. It was almost as if the forest itself screamed in agony through thousands of mouths. We froze in our places until the forest quieted down again. Then we heard something behind us. I slowly turned around. It was a deer, running toward us in a rabid fury. Its bones were visible beneath its skin, and instead of eyes, there was only black mold. "What is that?" Emma yelled. "Run," Ulf said. "Fucking run." We ran blindly further into the forest, hearing the hooves of the infested deer and its strange, heavy breath behind us coming closer for every second. Emma slipped on some roots and fell to the ground. There was more than one deer now. All their eyes had been eaten by the mold. I had no idea how they could still see us. I stopped and dragged Emma up on her feet again. She was crying for her sister to wait. "She's right in front of us," I said. "Just keep running." She had hurt her knee, but she kept going. There was a splash further ahead, then another one, and only seconds later I fell into a small body of freezing water. Linnea and Ulf had already fallen into it and begun wading through it. Emma stopped at the edge, right before falling in herself. "Jump," I said. "It's not that deep," and there wasn't enough time. One of the deer reached her, ramming her from behind with its sharp antlers. She was thrown into the water head first. I felt the warmth of some of her blood landing on my face. I waded out to her and turned her around so that her face wouldn't be under the water. The deer walked right and left at the edge, unwilling to jump into the water to continue their pursuit. I dragged Emma with me to the other side, not knowing what condition she was in. Ulf helped me pull her out of the water while Linnea cried into her hands, too afraid to look at what had happened to her sister. Emma was still alive, but she was losing blood from the deep cuts left in her back from the antlers. "She's alive!" I yelled toward Linnea to give her some comfort. "We need to get her to a hospital as soon as possible." Ulf and I helped Emma up on her legs and put her arms over our shoulders. We struggled forward, into the darkness. There was a silhouette of a rectangular structure in the distance, lit up from behind by the setting moon. "What is that?" I asked the others. "It looks huge." "Sis, no idea," Ulf replied, as we struggled through the dead frozen ferns with Emma between us. "It's too large," he continued. "It shouldn't be here." "Let's go there," Linnea said, pushing ahead of us. "We can't turn back. Perhaps there's someone there who can help us." "Come on, hurry up, she's still bleeding, goddammit!" After everything we had seen, I didn't think there would be any help for us over there, but I kept my mouth shut since we didn't have anywhere else to go anyway. There was a large muddy crater surrounding the structure. The temperature kept raising for every step we took, making us sweat beneath our winter clothes. We didn't stop until we reached the bottom of the crater. From there, we all stared up at the structure in silent astonishment. "My God," I said. "What in the name of all that is holy is that thing?" Linnea fell on her knees, crying. I hoped there would be someone here. The structure's seemingly fossilized, ashy facade looked indistinguishable from the bedrock in shade, but like a work of complex engineering and form. Watching it tower above us aroused a strange sense of doom inside me. It was clear to me that this enormous construction wasn't some secret modern military project. It was ancient and alien, a craft, maybe millions of years old, engulfed by the bedrock. "This isn't human," Ulf said. "It must have been here since forever," I said. "Look at—" I interrupted myself. "Well, except the black goo, you see it? It's climbing up against the hull." "Though, listen," Emma said, only barely conscious. "There's something—" "What?" Linnea said and turned to me and Ulf. "Shut up, you two. She's trying to say something." She returned to Emma. "What did you—" "Shh," Emma said. "Listen. Something is coming." We fell silent. There was a faint sound coming from the forest, almost like a whisper. Clom, 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 clom. It became louder and louder until it turned into a monotone voice. And then a figure appeared among the dark trees, running toward us. Clom, 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 clom. It was a naked woman, pale as a corpse. Her arms hung limply at her sides, swaying back and forth as she ran, and her dull eyes showed no expression. From her saggy mouth, The same sounds came out over and over and over again. Clom, 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 clom. She tripped on something and violently fell to the ground. But it didn't shut her up even for a second, and she immediately got back up on her feet without using her arms and continued to dart toward us with what must have been superhuman speed. Emma, Linnea exclaimed. It's Emma. What are you talking about? Ulf said. Emma is right here. But as the woman got closer, we both noticed that Linnea was right. It was Emma, or at least someone who looked exactly like her. Frozen by both fear and confusion, we weren't able to run until Emma, the original one, so to speak, opened her mouth. That's not me. We need to get away from here. We need to get away from her now. We snapped out of our paralysis and tried to escape the rabid version of Emma running toward us, but carrying our Emma made us slow. We didn't get far until Ulf was rammed and tackled to the ground. They both fell. I used the distraction to quickly grab Emma and drag her behind a thick oak. Linnea panicked and ran toward the structure, the only reasonable hiding place. From behind the tree trunk, I still heard the other Emma repeat her haunting sounds. Clom, 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 clom. She got up just as quick as before and continued in pursuit of Linnea. Relieved, I returned to Ulf. He slowly got up from the ground, moaning out of pain. How are you, man? I asked. Are you hurt? No, he said. I'm fine. What was that? Emma, who was regaining some strength, spoke. It was a monster looking exactly like me. And now it's chasing my sister. All right. When we reached the structure, we saw that there was a hole in a section of the wall. It looked like it had been teared open from the inside. As we approached this entrance, we heard Linnea crying inside. Ulf yelled her name, which echoed all the way up to the top through the darkness. A minute later, Linnea yelled back from somewhere deep inside. I'm in here. Please help me. I yelled for Felix, hoping he was hiding here as well, but there was no response. Go inside and help her, Emma said. But leave me here. Just let me rest against the wall until you come back. Okay? Just don't be gone for too long. There was a strange buzzing sound inside, coming from all directions, only accompanied by the sound of dripping water. Everything was pitch black. We waded through waist-deep water, yelling for Linnea, but she wasn't answering anymore. We didn't give up, though, and kept going forward. We couldn't see further than a few meters ahead of us, but what we saw still filled us with both wonder and terror. The walls, covered by the black mold, looked like circuit boards made from stone, and here and there, whole carcasses had been stuck to the wall by the slime. Some belonged to ordinary animals, such as a half-rotten elk, and some to ancient beasts such as a fossilized mammoth, and others, even older, belonged to completely alien creatures that was hard to even describe. This is a graveyard, I said. A place of death. I can't move my left arm, Ulf replied, in tears by the sound of his voice. What do you mean you can't move your... Oh no, he said. I'm feeling it in my right arm as well now. It's... A sudden cough interrupted him. I don't feel too well. He coughed again. I don't know, Waklum. I immediately stepped back. Whoa, I said. What's going on with you, man? I'm feeling dizzy. Tired. I can't see. He fell silent. Ulf, I said, slowly stepping even further back. Hello? He moaned, almost as if he were speaking in his sleep, and then he slowly began to mumble those terrifying sounds. Clum, clum, clum. No way, man, I said. Ulf? His torso twitched and swayed back and forth, and then he came to a sudden stop. Ulf? I tried again. Clum, clum, clum. He took a step toward me. I turned around and began to run as fast as I could through the murky water. Ulf had become just like the sick version of Emma. And now he was chasing me, repeating the same sounds. Clom, 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 clom. I heard him right behind me. If I kept running, I wouldn't stand a chance. Instead, I took a deep breath and went beneath the surface and swam to the left under the water. Thankfully, Ulf lost sight of me and continued forward. When I resurfaced, I found myself inside a narrow hallway. I didn't dare make a sound, for example by yelling for Linnea. I realized that Ulf must have been infected by the version of Emma that attacked us, that she had turned him into the same mindless shell of a person. It was a fate worse than death. I reached a larger chamber at the end of the hallway. A skeleton, belonging to what must have been an enormous horse, filled the room. There were nowhere to go from here. That's when I heard it coming from the hallway behind me. Clom, 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 clom. It wasn't just Ulf, but Emma too. I ripped one of the bones out of the skeleton and held it up in front of me as a weapon, but I knew it wouldn't make a difference. Something fell into the water from the ceiling, revealing a beam of light. A hatch had opened up. Just before Ulf and Emma entered the chamber, a rope fell from the opening in the ceiling. A voice told me to grab it. It was Linnea. Clom, 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 clom. They were just about to enter the chamber. I grabbed the rope as hard as I could, and just as they were about to knock me down, turning me into one of them, Linnea pulled me up. Thanks, I said. That was a close call. Linnea held a metal pipe of some kind in her hand, ready to strike me. Did they touch you? She asked. Huh? No, I said. Relax, they didn't get to me. Where have you been? How long have you been here? She asked, ignoring my question. Are you from before or now or the future? Tell me how long you've been here. What are you talking about? We just came here. Linnea lowered her weapon and then her gaze. A tear came down her cheek that fell down the hole and into the water below. She didn't look like before, but it wasn't clear in what way she was different now. One of her front teeth were missing, but that wasn't it. It was something more subtle. I reached out and touched her shoulder. First, she pulled back, but then she relaxed and stepped closer. We need to find a way out of here, I said. Emma demanded to be left outside while we looked for you. I'm sure she's fine. She isn't, Linnea said. Come on, you don't know that. I do, she said. The last time I saw you were 2 years ago, and I've learned a lot during all that time. How is that possible? I asked. What is this place? How? I don't know, but this place isn't a spaceship. From what I've gathered, it's something else entirely. It never traveled through space, rather through different worlds. At some point, it crashed here and merged with this island, creating shockwaves throughout reality itself. I know it doesn't make sense. I know that. But I can't deny what I've seen. Interdimensional shockwaves? I asked, flabbergasted by the suggestion. Still, if we find a way back, we can save your sister. Don't you get it? Linnea said. This vessel, it messes with the laws of physics. We saw what would happen to Emma before it happened. By now, she's probably already infected. Her fate was already sealed. There would have been nothing we could have done. My head was spinning, trying to understand how it all fit together. What have you been doing for 2 years? I asked. Have you been here all this time? No, she said. I found different openings. The first one led to a desert. Everything was dead there. I don't think life ever evolved there. The second one was the same, but cold instead of hot. Most of the exits led to dead worlds such as those, but eventually I found life, but not of the kind we're used to, and I had to hunt for food there to survive. I always came back to this vessel, trying to find my way back home. Stop, you still haven't? A few months back, I finally found my way back to the opening we came here through. And while it didn't lead to the same time we arrived, it at least led to the right world, or at least to a world just like the one we came from. But I kept coming back, hoping to find Ulf. He's gone, I said. I'm sorry. I know, Linnea whispered. I know. Let's get the fuck out of here, I said. It's not too late for us yet. Linnea led the way. It didn't take long until we heard it. Clom, 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 clom! It was Mindy this time. She was quick and surprisingly agile, even though she too had lost the use of her arms. We ran, jumped over chasms, crawled through tight spaces, and climbed over rotting carcasses, and Mindy still managed to come after us. A bit further ahead, she was joined by Emma and Ulf. They were getting closer, and we were getting more and more exhausted. We ran past an opening in the hull, leading to what looked like a jungle. A monstrosity of some kind, a pale giant with long black hair where its lower body should have been, crawled through the opening just when Mindy was about to reach me. It grabbed her and bit her in half. This place is leaking in monsters, I yelled. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. The giant stopped the others too, but it didn't take long for it to turn. With a much deeper voice, it began chanting, Clom, 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 clom! It crawled toward us, much faster than it seemed to have been able to at first. It was just about to grab me with its large hand when we jumped down one level, landing in the dark water. From there, I could see the opening. The giant threw itself over the ledge in pursuit, casting waves that made us fall over. It was just a matter of seconds before it would get to us. But luckily, it was long enough for us to reach the opening. It was summer outside. The giant couldn't get through the tight opening. It banged on the hull from the inside, creating a loud sound that echoed through the island. I realized it was the sound we had heard before, just when we had arrived. This turned out to be much later, though. Clara's garden was abandoned and overgrown. We saw evidence of military activity. It was just as if there had been a battle here a few decades earlier. We walked past a burnout tank and a crashed fighter jet. Inside one of the cabins, while looking for my friends, there was another newspaper on the desk. The clom fungus has reached America, said the headline. I looked at the year, 2032. I never found Tom or Felix. Most likely, they had fallen victim to the fungus or some of the beasts escaping into our world through the vessel. But I haven't given up hope. Perhaps they found their way into another time or world, where they could not just survive but thrive as well. Linnea found an old sailboat. As soon as we left the island, we got lost in another thick fog. We sailed through it for hours, and when we finally came out of it, the ice floes were back. My phone received a bunch of messages, most of them from my worrying mom. I smiled as I read them, knowing I was finally back in 2025 again. While Linnea started a new life in Stockholm, I've spent most of my time looking for the island again. So far, I haven't been able to find it. I think it's glitching in and out of our dimension. But one day I'll find it, rest assured. And when I do, I'm going to blow that strange interdimensional vessel to Kingdom Come.